From that to the next issue on the burner. And before we jump into health, wellness, and the other issues, let's ask yourself this question. It has got to do with Ghana's next sports minister. We have a new president, obviously, and so it means with the appointments beginning from last week, because now we know the finance minister designate, Dr. Casiel Ato Forson. We also know the energy minister designates, of course, and also that of the legal issues. Now, it means that in the coming days, we'll be getting appointments for now the sports and recreational ministry, if you like, because now it is sports and recreation ministry. That's what it is, has been created now. So youth is now moved out of it to form its own ministry. So the question is, who now takes over the sports ministry? In the last 2 or so weeks, there's been loads of names that have come up as possible names to take over the sports ministry as ministers. Some few weeks ago, we told you of those who have served over the years in Ghana as ministers and what they've offered. Now we are looking at the names that are being thrown around and what they possibly will bring on board, if any of them indeed will be given that nod to become the sports minister. Let's run by you some of the names that have come up. And the number one name that has run through almost every list that has come out is a former sports minister himself, a politician, a former member of parliament, and a die-in-the-wool sports fan, for sure. Honorable Edwin Ni Lante van der Poel is the number one name that has come up big time as the person who could be named in the coming days as Ghana's sports minister. He has done it before because after the World Cup in Brazil, where we had all the debacle and all the issues, he was announced, and in fact, he was made the sports minister in this country. He is someone who is not a stranger to the sporting fraternity at all. He began his youthful or young life as a sports commentator and a sports enthusiast. His love for boxing, for football, is undoubted. And over the years, he's shown that through and through in everything he's done in his life. So the first name that has come up big time is Honorable Edwin Ni Lante van der Poel, who is a former member of parliament, as you all know on your screens now, for Ododo constituency here in the Greater Accra region. This gentleman in your shots now is the number one name that has come up as the man who could be named as Ghana's sports minister. You listening to me or watching me on TV, on GHOne TV, or listening to us on Star FM, would you want to see Edwin Ni Lante van der Poel as your next sports minister? That is the first person for you. Let's go on to the next person. The next person is someone who is also no stranger in the issues of sports. Dr. Randy Abbey. His name has come up big time as well as a possible candidate or name that could occupy the sports and recreation ministry. Now, this gentleman as well is a former journalist, and I say so because very recently he announced his retirement from journalism when he announced he was leaving his role at Metro TV as the host of Good Morning Ghana, a political show. But you know him, hitherto he was a sports journalist. I recall those days, Choice FM, Radio Gold, and the others, also on TV all over the place. Randy Abbey currently as well is an executive council member of the GFA. He's actively involved in football management in Ghana currently as an ESCO member of the GFA. Again, he's a club owner because he's the owner of a Premier League side in Ghana, Heart of Lions, currently doing so well in the Ghana Premier League. If I'm not mistaken, they're on top actually in the GPO as it stands now. That's for Heart of Lions. And Randy Abbey, doctor, is a name that has come as well as a candidate that could take over the sports ministry as a sports minister. That's the second person there whose name is making the rounds in, of course, Ghana. The third person is someone as well who is no stranger to sports as well, administration, even as an active member in sports in Ghana. I'm talking about Herbert Amponsa Mensah, Herbert Mensah for short. This gentleman on your screens currently is the current president of Rugby Africa, which means he's a big man in charge of rugby in the whole of Africa. That's Herbert Mensah's current role as it is now. Also currently executive board member for World Rugby. Because of his role with Africa as the president, naturally he's also an executive member in the board for World Rugby. So he's a big, big influence in the annals of rugby in the whole world. That's a gentleman on your screens now. He's also a former board chairman and CEO for Kotoko. Back in the days, in the early 2000s, he was made a CEO and board chairman. You all know his exploits and what he did to bring Kotoko back to its glory days. So that's a gentleman as well, whose name has come as well as a possible candidate for the sports ministry in Ghana. So these three names, plus some other names, are making the rounds as persons who in the next few days could be named, one of them could be named as a sports minister for Ghana. It will not just be about sports, it will be sports and recreation. But one thing is obvious, these men, whoever gets named, will have to appreciate that sports is no more just recreation or leisure, but that sports is now a or as Americans will say, a multi-billionaire or a multi-billion, industry that is churning out so much money for nations and for individuals involved in that chain in sports. So if you appreciate that, then you will know that they must invest as a state in sports, not just football, but in sports in general, not neglecting any discipline, but investing equally across sport to ensure there's a natural progression for every sport in Ghana to bring laurels into this country. So these men, Herbert Mensah, Dr. Randy Abbey, and Edwin Nilante van der Poel, these three names, I'm sure in the coming days, one of them will be named as a sports minister in the Republic of Ghana.